Hey everyone, welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm your host, Che Arena. Prison is terrifying. You literally take the most dangerous people in the world and shove them into a confined space together in the hopes that it will rehabilitate them, but it only makes them more dangerous and stronger. You literally get more buff in jail. I hope I never end up in prison. I'm far too pretty. It would be like bears on honey. I would be done for. Well, what's the one thing that would be more scary than a prison? What about an old abandoned prison that's packed with all the ghosts from the criminals that used to be there but didn't make it out and died on death row or got killed by another inmate? It might just be worse, and that's why I'm bringing you today's list of top 10 scary abandoned prisons. As always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Also, stick around for the top 3 on the list because there's some pretty famous places. And make sure you follow Most Amazing Top 10 on Instagram and Facebook. It's a great way to get to know myself and the other hosts just a little bit better. And without taking any longer, let's get into this list. Number 10, Moundsville Penitentiary, West Virginia. Oh, take me home, country roads to the place I belong, West Virginia. Okay, that's enough of that. I think me singing will haunt your dreams more than any of the places on this list. Well, first we have the Moundsville Penitentiary. This place opened in 1879 and quickly became one of the most violent prisons in America. That's basically being the heavyweight champion of violent prisons. In the time that this prison was open, there was 36 homicides and a bunch of executions. So you better believe that this place is packed full of ghosts that walk the halls. One of the most famous ghosts wasn't even an inmate. People say they've seen the ghost of a maintenance man who used to work there. He was brutally beaten to death by the inmates because he would inform the guards when the inmates were misbehaving. Snitches get stitches, baby. The game is the game. The Moundsville Penitentiary is known as the most haunted place on earth. So the moral of the story goes, don't snitch or you're gonna end up a ghost around a bunch of the people that you snitched on. Number 9, Bodmin Jail. Now we're gonna shoot over to Cornwall, England and check out the Bodmin Jail. I would have hated to go to jail back in the day. I'm sure it would have been easier to break out, but the conditions would have been horrible. At least they have Purell now. The Bodmin Jail is one of those old school hellholes. It was built back in 1779 and managed to stay open for 100 years. Now it stands as a major hotspot for paranormal activity. They got it all at the Bodmin Jail. Weird voices, footsteps, loud bangs, soft touches on your bum before a wet kiss. You know, all the stuff that ghosts do all the time. The most famous ghost that hangs within the walls is the spirit of Selena Wade. She got locked up for drowning her kids, so it's safe to say she's terrifying. It's said that whenever mothers come to visit the jail, it's said that she'll harass them, trying to get the visiting mothers to forgive her for the crimes that she committed. So don't drown your kids. Number 8, Cripple Creek Jail. When the population of a town starts to skyrocket, a few things will always happen. Rent goes up, and then you have to move into a place with 67 roommates. Jobs disappear, so you better behave yourself at work unless you want to start selling off your respect for money. And of course, local anemones are usually not equipped to deal with anything. That's what happened in Cripple Creek in the late 1800s when the gold rush hit. People's lust for striking rich overnight shot this town up from 1,500 to 50,000 people in a very short period of time. This of course made the crime shoot through the roof and then forced a small town to try and find ways to manage all the prisoners. This led to many deaths at the Cripple Creek Jail, both on the sides of inmates and guards. It's actually said that one of the most famous ghosts hanging around the jail today is that of a female guard. People say she stayed behind to keep the other ghosts in prison. Give this girl a raise. She has allegiance even in death, baby. Number 7, Eastern State Penitentiary. This penitentiary in Philadelphia was open for 42 years and had the reputation for being one of the most brutal prisons of all time. Inmates were treated worse than cattle. They would be kept in near total isolation for 23 hours a day. The rooms that they were kept in had 0 windows. That means no sunlight is getting through. You gotta get that vitamin D. Staying away from the sun for a long time is really bad for your health. Well, I mean, so is going to jail, but whatever. Guards would also torture inmates in brutal ways. One thing they would do is take inmates who had misbehaved and put them in a place called the Hole. This was a dark pit in the ground with 0 light and hardly any room to move. While in the hole, they would be given just enough food and water to survive, and after their time was up, the guards would pull out their nearly lifeless bodies and throw them back into a secluded cell. Many inmates went mad or died from the isolation, and ghosts have been spotted all over the prison, especially in the rooms where these tortures would take place. Number 6. Irarr County Jail. Now we're going down under to Australia. A country built by criminals must have had some of the worst prisons of all time. Imagine being such a monster that you get locked up when you're living around criminals. You would have to be a baby eater dog kicker or something terrible like that. Well, the Irarr County Jail was a place where you would send these kinds of people. What made this place especially terrible is that it was a prison for the criminally insane. So there were all sorts of treatments performed on patients. And by treatments, I mean lobotomies without anesthesia, along with shock treatment, and an array of other horrible things that no human should have to endure. It's said that you can hear the screams of people who were tortured there to this day. One of the most famous ghosts that lurk the halls is that of Nurse Carrie, a nurse who defends her ward and tries to stop people from coming in. She still doesn't want the public to know about the terrible things they would do to patients. Well, the word's out, Carrie. Everyone knows you're a turd. Number 5. The London Tower. This is probably the most famous one on the list. The London Tower is over 900 years old and is a major hotspot for tourists. If you're a ghost, this is the place to haunt. You get to scare thousands of people every year and probably photobomb everybody. Imagine being the ghost that everyone talks about at the London Tower. How glamorous. It was originally made as a safe haven for the royal family, but got converted into a prison not long after that. Everything went down from there. Prisoners would be tortured, tried, and executed all in the big brick building. So you can imagine there's some major bad mojo floating around. The tower is constantly guarded by the royal guard, and when new guards are stationed there, many of them have reported a crushing sensation in their chest. I'm guessing the ghosts want to see if you're a punk weenie before they let you work there. The most famous ghost is probably that of Queen Anne Boleyn, one of the wives of Henry VIII. She was beheaded in the London Tower. Very fancy. Number 4. Ohio State Reformatory. For those of you who are movie buffs, you are really going to like this one because this is where they filmed Shawshank Redemption. Yeah, one of the greatest movies of all time. And if you like hostile encounters with ghosts like being shoved or yelled at, then this is the place for you. You have no excuse not to check it out. The place was built in Mansfield, Ohio between the years of 1886 and 1910. This place was a hoot and a holler when it went up and quickly got the reputation for having some of the worst conditions of any prison. Jolly gee, sign me up, mister. In fact, in 1910 the prison was shut down because the conditions were inhumane. My god, it sounds like a great vacation spot. Now they just keep it open for ghost tours. If you decide to go there, you should prepare yourself for everything from phones malfunctioning to cold spots to straight up being pushed. You know what they say about these Ohio State ghosts? They are great hosts. Number 3. Alcatraz. If you live in North America, then this is probably the most famous prison to you. I mean, it's one of the most legendary places in the world. Some of the worst criminals ever spent time in there. By spent time in there, you know I mean forced to stay there because of their horrible crimes. Al Capone being one of the most famous criminals who was caged at the Rock. This place was so rough that murders, attacks, and suicides were commonplace. A murder going down at Alcatraz was like someone who leaves negative YouTube comments having a girlfriend pillow. It's extremely common. Even before the prison was built, the Native Americans would use the island as a place to exile people, and they believed dark spirits lived on the island. There was even a case of an inmate saying he could see glowing red eyes in his cell and started screaming. In the morning, he was found dead with strangle marks on his neck. Number 2. Karosta Naval Port Prison. Let's run over to the Soviet prison that was opened in the year 1900. I wouldn't want to get thrown in a Russian prison now, man. Imagine back then. They probably didn't even have blankets. You probably kept yourself warm through mental toughness. This place was built in Latvia and used as a detention center for the Russian military who broke some war laws. I don't know what war laws are, but you can leave them in the comments. It's stated on the record that no one ever escaped this jail, but it was built in the middle of nowhere. So if you ever did escape this jail, you would probably just freeze to death or be eaten by a bear. Now you can go there to do something they call Extreme Night, where they let you spend the night in the jail. A place that is haunted by dead war criminals? That's a hard pass for me. And number 1 on the list, the Shepton Mallet Prison. We're gonna top off this list with the Shepton Mallet Prison in Somerset, England. Until the year 2013, this prison was the oldest operating prison in the world. It was built in the year 1625. I didn't even know that was legal. If I was there, I would keep asking the question, is this up to code? Even though I knew the answer was no, that would be like my little dad joke. I would tell everyone until someone shut me up by stabbing me in the liver. This place is so old that there are even unmarked graves around the prison from prisoners who died from smallpox. Goddamn, smallpox got you while you were in prison? That's a huge bummer. The prison is famous for housing some of the most dangerous prisoners in all of England and is also super haunted. There was even an attack where a guard was assaulted by an invisible assailant and got burned. Alright everyone, that is our list. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, make sure you comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Also, a little like will help. Also, make sure you follow Most Amazing Top 10 on Instagram and Facebook. Until next time, I've been Arena, and I'm going to be a good boy from now on so I can stay at home watching cartoons instead of becoming currency. Bye.